Kick-ass facts, more people who fake their own deaths. I told you I was in a rabbit hole. Pew, 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 pew! Mark Weinberger didn't exactly fake his own death, but he did disappear without a trace for 5 years. The plastic surgeon from Maryville, Indiana, was featured on America's Most Wanted and remained on the lam until his arrest in northern Italy. He went missing while traveling with his wife Michelle in Greece. His wife filed for a divorce after his disappearance, said that Weinberger had been troubled by malpractice lawsuits before their trip. It turned out that an attorney in Indianapolis was representing more than 100 of Weinberger's former patients who claimed to have received outdated, ineffective procedures. He pleaded guilty to 22 counts of healthcare fraud for also allegedly billing insurance companies for procedures he did not actually perform. On May 18, 1926, Canadian-born evangelist Amy Semple McPherson disappeared while swimming at a Los Angeles beach. As rescue teams searched for her, one team member died. A grief-stricken follower of the charismatic leader drowned herself in despair. 5 weeks passed, and McPherson turned up in Mexico, claiming to have gone off the grid while fleeing would-be kidnappers. The kidnapping story seemed shady and was investigated as possible fraud. However, it remained unsolved until McPherson's actual death in 1944. John Darwin was a British teacher and prison officer who was thought to have died during a canoe accident in 2002. He was reported missing after failing to report to work, and a large-scale sea search took place without finding a trace of his body. The next day, the wreckage of his canoe was found. Wreckage? Do canoes really pick up enough speed to be wrecked? His wife Anne received insurance payouts and paid the couple's £130 mortgage. In December 2007, Darwin walked into a police station in London claiming to have had no memory of the past 5 years. His wife Anne, who had sold their properties in England and moved to Panama 3 months earlier, acted surprised upon his return. In fact, Darwin had been living with her since just days after his disappearance. He'd also traveled to Panama with her in 2006, as evidenced by a photo of the couple posted to the website movetopanama.com. If you are going to fake your own death, do your best not to end up on public website. He'd used his fake passport to exit the country. Both John and Anne were convicted of fraud in 2008. John was sentenced to 6 years and 3 months in prison. Anne was sentenced to 6 years and 6 months in prison. I don't know why she got more. This name may sound familiar. Samuel Israel III is a former hedge fund manager for the Bayou Hedge Fund Group, a group he founded in 1996. In 2008, he was sentenced to 20 years in prison and ordered to forfeit $300 million for defrauding his investors in his now bankrupt firm. He failed to report to prison as ordered. Shocker. His car was found abandoned at Bear Mountain Bridge with "Suicide is Painless," the title of the theme song for both the MASH TV series and movie, written in the dust on the hood. Police suspected at the time it was an attempt to fake his own death to avoid his prison sentence. Israel's girlfriend, Deborah Ryan, was arrested later that same month for aiding and abetting his plan. Under questioning, she admitted that she and Israel had parked an RV loaded with his belongings near Bear Mountain Bridge on the day before his disappearance. He was tracked down to a campground in Granville, Massachusetts, and surrendered to authorities. An additional 2 years were added to his sentence, and his girlfriend was sentenced to 3 years probation.